Hi, this is Dr. David Fawcett, and for the last 30 years, in my role as a psychotherapist, I've worked an awful lot with persons living with HIV, the trauma that goes with that, the stressors, the mental health issues, even the substance abuse issues, which I see extending well beyond the classic period of what we call the AIDS crisis. But I'm also a person living with HIV myself. I was diagnosed in 1988 and spent 10 pretty miserable years in the life and death struggle with various opportunistic infections. And then after that, when we kind of stabilized on medications, I continued to lose friends due to complications of HIV that persist well into the last 10 years or so. And now, as I age, along with many other people who are living with HIV, we find ourselves on the edge of other issues that face us and confront us. So in my work and in my professional life and my personal life, I find it really useful to talk about resilience. And that's what I'd like to talk to you a little bit about today. The sort of points that I incorporate into both my therapy work and my personal life in terms of building resilience. So I'm going to share my screen a moment with you. And I have a few slides to talk about this topic. And basically what I want to describe this as is really embracing an unanticipated life. Which is really the life that I have today, which I didn't expect to have, and the doctors told me I wouldn't have it, but here I am. And after HIV really derailed my life in my 30s and 40s, I have confronted a different kind of existence than I thought I would have, an unanticipated life. And I think that resilience is a real important factor to look at that. So what is emotional resilience? That's what we're talking about today. I think a lot of people think that resilience is a character trait. I either have it or I don't. And what I'm here to tell you is that resilience is a skill. It's a set of skills that can be learned by anyone. And it's really important that we, especially as survivors, learn these skills. It's basically interaction on a daily basis. It's hundreds of little decisions in any given year as we confront things, how we're going to take care of ourselves, how we're going to handle a situation, how we're going to look at stress and anxiety as it confronts us, especially these days with coronavirus. And basically what we're trying to do is build cumulative factors so that we can outpace the stressors that come our way. Why is this important? You know, everyone's heard about being run down and not having good physical resilience. So of course that's important for your physical health. What we know that emotional resilience has the same impact. When we get run down on emotional resilience, it can translate into getting physically sick. So our physical health can be troubled. We can have psychological stressors, anxiety, depression, which many people living with HIV experience every year. People stabilized on medication can have anxiety rates of up to 40%, depression of up to 50% in any given year. So it's really something that we have to pay attention to. It affects our health outcomes. If we don't have good resilience skills, our health will suffer. In fact, our quality of life will suffer. And guess what? Even our lifespan will get shortened. So here are some six kind of topics that I talk about in terms of building resilience and incorporating resilience in our lives. The first is just live consciously. And I try to practice mindfulness in my daily life. I'm not perfect, but I do think it's important for us to get mindfulness skills under our belt. What does that mean? It means just being in the present tense, not being stuck in the future, not being stuck in the past, but really kind of being here in the moment, in the present moment, where we can be aware, using all our senses to be aware and not judging ourselves for that a feeling that we think we shouldn't have, or feeling too this or too little that, but to really just kind of notice in a non-judgmental way and be present in our lives. It's such an important skill because that gives us basically an early warning system for both physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, and it also builds our awareness that we can start responding and reacting appropriately, gives us a sense of empowerment and control. The other thing I think is so important is for us to listen to our body. And I think most long-term survivors do have a habit of listening to their bodies because we've had to survive. But pay attention. And I think the vast majority of people walk around with no life from below the neck, right? They're stuck in their heads and their thoughts. So we have to really be conscious of that. And just observe your thoughts and feelings. So I'd really encourage you to think about how you practice this conscious living. How are you mindful each and every day? And if you can't really be mindful every moment of every day, which most of us can't, try to take some time for a 10 or 15-minute mindfulness break. Take a walk, make contact with the sky, listen to the birds, listen to the breeze, just be aware of what's going on. and notice what gets in your way and try to improve that. The second one is really working to overcome shame. You know, living with HIV is something that really burdens us in terms of the shame that goes on, the shame and the stigma that many of us have experienced. I think it's much less these days, but I think a lot of us who've been around a long time have a whole bunch of internalized shame. Plus, we may have that from other identities we have. I'm a gay man. I think I grew up with a lot of internalized homophobia that I've hopefully dealt with, but I think we have to really root out shame. Nobody's born with shame. Shame is taught to us. And we have to really learn how to release it and give it back. It does not belong to us. So if you have some of these core identities, feeling like damaged goods, or feeling not good enough, or feeling unworthy or unlovable, you really need to work hard to kind of change that, release that shame, and really start incorporating healthy kind of affirmations that are positive, present tense statements. I am powerful. I am safe. I am lovable and worthy and a beautiful human being, whatever resonates for you. And I suggest writing it on a Post-it note, stick it on your mirror where you can see it every morning and really start to internalize that and kind of rewire how it's impacted in your brain. So, take stock of how you release shame, what else needs to be released that might be getting in your way. A third one is to really deepen empathy. Empathy is simply our ability to feel what other people are feeling. It's one of our human skills that sets us apart from a lot of other animals. And it's really important to be aware of that. Human beings are hardwired for empathy. We have these things called mirror neurons in our head. And in the last 10 years, neurologists have identified this empathy circuitry in our brains that we're wired for it. We can do it. But sometimes our addictions get in the way, our judgments, our unresolved issues. We lose our ability to kind of get in touch with other people. So I think it's really important to practice it, to practice being a good listener, to practice really trying to figure out what somebody must be feeling. And then if you're dealing with them, to really validate those feelings for them. It's what we can do to support each other and build strength among each other. It's important for us to move outside of ourselves, but it's also important for us to have compassion and empathy for ourselves. I think so much of us, so many of our experiences in living with HIV over the years have really taught us that we don't deserve, in some cases, to even be here. But I think we really have to kind of reverse those feelings and have compassion for what we've been through. If we're still struggling with something, maybe anxiety or trying to get addiction under control, or whatever that has helped us maybe survive along the way, but no longer serves us. We really need to get in touch with that and move past it, release it, and really try to identify behaviors, thoughts, and feelings that really serve our highest good. So think about empathy and how you practice it and how good you are at it. And don't forget, when you're having compassion for other people, to make sure you have compassion for yourself. This probably is no big mystery for anybody living with HIV, but the tools for practicing self-care, emotional, mental, spiritual, food, sleep addictions, depression, anxiety, trauma, all these areas. We need to challenge cognitive errors, which is those mistaken beliefs. We have all or nothing thinking, black and white, jumping to conclusions, overgeneralizing, minimizing. Those are all cognitive errors we need to correct. We need to maybe get in touch with our spiritual lives and a sense of a higher power. And is there something bigger out there that maybe can soothe us and help us find peace and solace when we're perhaps struggling? And in my own life, and I really suggest to all my clients, gratitude. Even in the toughest day, when I don't feel like sitting down and doing a gratitude list, those are the days where it's most powerful for me to do so. Social connection. We are a society with an epidemic of loneliness. We really have to fight and stay connected to each other in terms of that fight to build those social connections, those social networks. We are especially at risk for isolation, those of us living with HIV, and we have poor health comes when we isolate. This is all good science. So we just really need to practice and extend those social networks and really remember that no matter how many Facebook friends you have, how many Instagram followers you have, it's not the same as having real-time friends. Now, I know in the time of COVID, we can't really hug each other very well and make contact as much as we would like, but we can certainly keep those social networks as robust as we can and try to have human contact. It's good for us, and believe me, it's good for the people that we reach out to. And finally, one other thing, I found it's really useful to kind of find my purpose. HIV at one point in my life, I thought was taking away everything from me. And I talk about lost and found, where I lost a whole bunch of things, including even a sense of a future and my identity. But boy, I've found a whole bunch of things as well. I found a future. I found my identity. I found my role as an advocate and a writer and a better therapist, as a healer. And so there's all kinds of things. So I think it's really important, for me at least, to have a focus when I get up out of the bed in the morning, the meaning in my life, to see where we go from here. So I think really think about what gives you meaning, what helps you get out of bed in the morning. So in conclusion, for building resilience, living consciously, overcoming shame, deepening our empathy for ourselves and others, practicing that self-care 24/7, increasing our social connections, finding a sense of purpose. All of those things are going to really help us as we move forward. So I'd like to thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. Be well and be safe. Bye-bye.